folks. My guest today is going to be U.S. speed skier Jackie Wiles. Jackie has had an illustrious career so far. She's been on the U.S. ski team for 13 years. She's been a NORAM champion, multiple time national champion, multiple World Cup podiums, multiple time Olympian as well. And in this episode today, we go through and discuss her career. We talk about some of those successes. We also talk about some of the setbacks and her battling back from injury. And we talk about the upcoming season. It was really great to be able to have this conversation with Jackie, and I really hope you folks enjoy this episode. Thanks.
Sweet.
Jackie, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Bobby. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, you just finished up a little bit of prep. Now you got a little bit of time off and then kind of back to it. How has the prep season been for you?
Yeah, great prep period so far. Having one camp in Mammoth in the spring and then just training hard all summer in the gym. We had about 5 weeks total in Chile. That was great. We got up to speed and kind of uh, up in the volume, and then now we just were in Copper for a couple weeks. So yeah, really excited for the season to start soon, and I think the team and myself are in a good spot. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of excitement, especially, Birds of Prey is back, right? Or it's on a new track this year. So back, you get a home event.
Yeah, it's great for us. We haven't had a home event since I think 2017. Birds of Prey is also a new track for the women. They did a Super G makeup in I think early 2013. So for besides that, nobody's done a downhill on the track, and I think it's going to be great to have an American fan base really rooting us on. You kind of feel that energy. So yeah, I'm excited to go back to Birds of Prey, Beaver Creek area. It was my first World Cup on the Raptor, the women's side, uh,
Okay.
over a decade ago. So it's going to be a fun full circle moment.
Yeah, so good memories. Good memories
Yeah.
there and back, and yeah, the US fans, some of that support, that's going to be awesome to finally have that back again.
Yeah, no, it's going to be super exciting. So a lot of friends and family, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to being in the US a little bit longer as well.
Yeah, definitely with that schedule traveling all the time on the road. Now, for you, like, how did you get your start kind of into racing? I know, like, doing some of the research and everything. I mean, like, you grew up essentially like on skis up in Washington, and kind of just for those out there, how'd you kind of get your start into sport, and what made you fall in love with racing?
Yeah, I was really lucky that both my parents wanted my brother and I to have a mountain experience outdoors every weekend, and it was just a fun family activity every weekend. And for them, it was really just, I think, daycare in a sense, so that they could go ski, and that my brother and I would learn how to get the fundamentals and just have fun with friends out skiing. So yeah, it just kind of evolved every weekend, going to the mountain and then chasing my brother around. He's 2.5 years older. So for me, it was just
Okay.
always trying to keep up. And yeah, I just never looked back. And then it was, we started racing at 5 years old, and just kind of kept doing it ever since. And yeah, it's been a great family sport my whole life.
So you started racing at 5. Now, did your brother compete too? Is he kind of like, did he got into in the same where you got like as you start out, do you go slaw, you kind of do all the different events and then you start to specialize kind of around what age?
Yeah, so we both started at 2 years old, and then we couldn't start racing until 5 years old. So actually, there's some pretty funny memories of my brother being able to start at 5, and my parents tell me at like 2.5, I was just like, "Why don't I get a race? Why don't I get a race?" And being like throwing full on fits and meltdowns because he could race and I wasn't able to, and then finally getting a moment like, "Oh, will you guys like let me go up the rope tow and film me," and then just crying because he would butt back in and steal the spotlight. So yeah, it was pretty funny. Apparently I just wanted to do everything that he did, and kind of yeah, once I started seeing him race, I was like, oh, that's what I got to do too one day. But yeah, Mount Hood was a great place to grow up.
Mhm.
So all winter, all summer, getting to ski was kind of a blessing. And then once I turned about 17, I decided to go to a new venue in White Pass in Washington. I went to
Okay.
just get some other coaching, just some diversity. So yeah, I'd say like the Northwest in general was a pretty awesome place to grow up.
Yeah. No, like that area is so cool, and fortunately get to go out, and I was the last time I saw you was in Hood. I mean, it's such a great spot,
Yeah.
and like trees, it's so beautiful. It's such like an amazing setting. And how much were those Huck shakes back then? Because I think they're what, like $9 now? Well, they had to be pretty
Yeah.
good price back in the day.
I feel like they were probably around 5 or 6. Yeah, I definitely remember as a kid when your parents would give you some money when you're at ski camp every day. It's like huck shake, huck shake. And now, yeah, it's insane how much they've gone up. But that was a great memory of childhood for sure.
So you start at White Pass. I guess like at what point do you decide that this is what you want to continually pursue? I mean, obviously you have that passion at a super early age and you're really trying to keep up and chase your brother. And then at what point are you kind of make the decision of like, this is what I want to do? Like, obviously you love it, but when does that kind
Yeah.
of happen for you?
Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like I've always just had that thought in my head of this is what I want to do, but I distinctly remember in 2002 our family went to the Salt Lake Olympics,
Oh,
and
cool.
it was in that moment where I saw ski racing on an international level.
Hmm.
I never really had known any ski racing other than my little mountain. So seeing international competitors, that level of skiing was super inspirational. I remember watching Julia Mancuso there, and it was a crazy full circle moment when I made the 2014 Olympics and got to compete alongside of her as a teammate. So yeah, I for as long as I can remember, it's just I knew that's what I wanted to do. Once I graduated high school, I
Hmm.
still hadn't been picked up from this ski team at that moment. And it was like, okay, do I go to college? If I go to college, I can only race tech, but I knew I wanted to be a speed skier. Like that was always what my dream was. So I went and, yeah, got a strength coach, started working out 6 days a week, 5, 6 hours a day, and completely changed my physique and was extremely determined to make it happen because I knew that was kind of like my make it or break it moment.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was just, I think just always having that drive to succeed and feeling like if I wanted to make it happen, that it was in my hands and I had to do everything that I could to make it happen.
Hmm. So you kind of knew kind of that you took like a little bit of a PG year. Was it kind of between that senior year of high school and like trying to figure that out? That's where like I know if I want to make that jump, this is what needs to happen. So you're in the gym a bunch more, and then you go out and you win US Nationals, right? That season at Copper.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. It was definitely like I had felt like I always thought that it was just, I had that mindset of I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna make it. And then yeah, once, I graduated high school and I had some coaches on the team, of the US ski team, not pick me up because they thought my GS, my technical ability wasn't where it needed to be if I was gonna make that next step. And that was really frustrating because at the time I was still beating a lot of the national team members and, winning NORAM titles, and I was like, I'm not gonna let this define the rest of, my career and end it now. So it was like, okay, I'm just gonna work harder and try to, prove them wrong and prove to myself that I could do it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was just not gonna let it, you know, define my career. And yeah, started with the trainer, and then that whole next season I was able to kind of step up the level that I wanted. And yeah, got some NORAM titles and won a downhill title. So it was an incredible moment of like, okay, I'm finally doing this and I'm making that step. And yeah, more than anything, proving to myself that I could do it.
Hmm. So how, like it sounds to me at least like that was actually as much of a deterrent, like as much like a pivotal moment for you, right? Some of those ski team coaches kind of like, yeah, no, we're deciding to go with something like, all right, I'm gonna show you guys what's up, and I'm gonna like put in the work, and boom, watch me ski, baby.
Yeah, I think it was exactly what I needed. I
Hmm.
think it was a good wake up call of like, you know, it's not going to be easy. And I think I just didn't realize how much of that kick that I needed because it really pushed me in a way that I thought I was working hard, but I didn't realize how much harder I could work. So
Sure.
I think it really lit something inside of me to build some resilience and more determination than I ever thought that I could. So
Hmm.
yeah, it was, I think, a blessing in disguise for sure.
Yeah. So you I mean, what's that feeling like of finally making the team? I mean, you're a vet now, you've been on the team for 13 years, but I mean, that initial like glow of like finally, you put in that hard work, you kind of get turned away a little bit, and then you achieve that goal and, national champion. That's a really hard thing. NORAM title, like these are not easy goals to be checking boxes on. So, I mean, what does that finally feel like in that next step that you get to take in your career?
Yeah, it was incredible. I think the most important part that I learned from it all too at the beginning
Yeah.
was that it wasn't going to continually be easy. I had to keep elevating and not being satisfied. I
Mm,
knew if I was just satisfied with what I had accomplished those years, that, it could be easily the next year or two that I was just off the team if I didn't keep getting better and better. So yeah, I think it was really exciting that I could check those off and like prove to myself
mhm.
that I could be there and that I belonged to be there. But then also realizing that it could be gone in an instant, and I had to keep working as hard as I could to continually getting better and not be satisfied with where I was.
Right.
So yeah, it was a whirlwind of a year. My first year on the ski team, I was lucky that they let me do all the World Cups and continually build there. And it wasn't until the race right before the Olympics in Cortina that I scored my first World Cup points. And then straight from there, I thought I was going home while everyone went to the Olympics, and they named me to the team like a week before Sochi Olympics. So yeah, it was just I was wide-eyed all year, really hungry and determined, and trying to just take everything in, learn from
Mhm.
all the veterans and learn as much as I could. So yeah, I was really lucky the team kept supporting me, and that all of the girls that I was surrounded by really helped mentor me as well.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So I mean, like you said, you're bright-eyed and then you get named to the team so close to the Olympic. I mean, that had to be just wild. You're like, all right, now I'm going. You say full circle moment, getting to be with like Julia Mancuso and some of those idols, people you look up to. Like that had to just be crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty insane. I remember calling my dad right after I found out, and like was just had this emotional moment with him because he saw those years where, the team wasn't giving me an opportunity and saying that I wasn't good enough. And so yeah, it was pretty special to be able to share something like that with my family because they've all been there to support me. And then also just yeah, being there with the whole team and feeling the incredible energy of the world coming together for an event like that, and remembering when I was younger watching the Olympics. So yeah, it's a pretty special moment to really enjoy, and be grateful that you can share that with your family as well.
Yeah, that sounds super cool. So then you move on and you get your first podium, what, 2017 in Austria, right? Downhill
Yep.
there, first
Yep.
podium, kind of building a little bit of momentum, right? 2018, another podium in Cortina. So first, that's which was your first start.
Yeah.
And then we have some of those things where we'll talk a little bit about perseverance and we start to get into some setbacks and some of that stuff. So, I mean, I guess just speak a little bit to some of those injuries. And I feel like most of, speed racing or, winter sports, you're going to have some injuries along the way, but just kind of talk a little bit to that.
Yeah, so after my first season on the team, it was kind of like just trying to learn as years went on. And
Hmm.
I think every athlete goes through those ebbs and flows, and I definitely had a
Sure.
couple years of trying to really establish and figure out that next level and being consistent. Yeah, it definitely came with some challenges, but then I finally started to get my stride in
Hmm.
2017 and 18 with podiums each of those years, which was really exciting. I had Lindsey Vaughn, Julie Mancuso, Stacy Cook, Alice McKennis, Lauren Ross, Leanne Smith. All those girls the year before I was on the team had a podium. So I was just trying to learn as much as I could, and it really helped, I think, develop those next couple years.
Hmm.
And yeah, I was really excited going into the Olympic year, obviously, like coming from having a podium and feeling like I was creating momentum.
Sure.
Uh, had a podium in Cortina, and then the following week we were in Garmisch right before going to South Korea, and I was already named to the Olympic team. Really was excited building that momentum, like I said, and it all of a sudden, in just one instant, the sport can take everything from you. And the injury that I had, luckily, I didn't know how bad it was at the time, but yeah, my crash in Garmisch completely destroyed my knee. I tore every ligament, broke my leg, had nerve damage. had a torn patella tendon, and it was just, yeah, it was crazy to think how much could change in a second, going from such a high, building up into the Olympics, and then all of a sudden being out for, I didn't realize it would be over a year and a half, almost 2 years of recovery. And yeah, it was pretty devastating, having to watch from afar and then knowing realizing how long my journey was ahead of me.
Hmm.
Um, but it's in those moments that I feel like you learn so much about yourself. And
Absolutely.
I wouldn't change anything now because I feel like it's really taught me a lot about who I am and how to keep persevering in a different way, not just being told that I wasn't going to make it, but if I could even, ski again and compete at that level. So yeah, it's been quite the journey. Ever since that moment, I have had many other little injuries here and there, and every time I felt like I would get back to where I could be again, a
Hmm.
little something would happen and it would kind of take away my confidence all over again and put that fear seed back in my head. So yeah, there's so much more than just the physical part that I had to overcome.
Sure.
The mental side, I didn't realize it would affect me the way that it has for so long. And yeah, I think that's kind of the biggest hurdle that I had to overcome.
Hmm. And so like going through especially that first initial and just any of them, what have you kind of learned about yourself, right? Because we talk about obviously the high moments and everything else, like as much as I hate to say it, like you don't really learn too much from like the wins. You're just like, oh, it's just sick. It's always like the shitty moments when you're down, like having to do your quad sets and everything else and trying to get that thing to grow and like those dark times where everyone else, as you say, is like off and you're just forgotten in a room by yourself, just like this. And like, you really do start to learn a lot about yourself in those moments.
Yeah, yeah, like you said, the quad sets, all the little things that like nobody really tells you how gruesome and just you don't see any progress for the longest time. So it's hard
Mhm.
to keep that motivated mindset and that feeling that you're actually going to get back to where you are. It seems so far away. So I feel like it's in those moments, like you said, you learn so much about yourself because you don't realize how much you're having to persevere without even realizing it. And the day-to-day mindset of wanting to keep working and doing all the little things that don't seem like are getting you anywhere. So yeah, I think you learn so much more in those low moments and it makes the higher moments seem even better. But having to work again with a sports psychologist and overcome fear, I think the biggest thing that I learned was how important that mindset is because I thought I really just struggled with not being able to focus, and it wasn't until later that the sports psychologist, diagnosed me with what they thought was just PTSD, not being able to focus because I would always think about fear in a new way,
Sure.
and for a long time it really held me back because it kind of changed my skiing again with being really defensive and always initiating by rotating my ankles instead of really laying it up on edge.
Hmm.
And it took me years to really realize how much that fear was deeply embedded. I looked at courses a lot differently. I would always look at the parts where it could go wrong. And
Hmm.
before I had never had that mindset. I always was just thinking about where the fall line was, where I could release the ski, where I could really attack. And
Hmm.
yeah, after that it was just like, oh, it could go wrong here. I could go wrong here. Oh, this looks dangerous. And not
Right.
realizing how much my body would go into defense mode. So yeah, I think the biggest part is just learning that fear is okay and that it's now always going to be there. It's a new normal.
Hmm.
And that's been super empowering because instead of letting it hold me back, I feel like I have a better appreciation for, the fears there to help us stay safe. And it's good to acknowledge it, but we can use it in a powerful way instead of letting it hold us back.
Yeah, I think that's a really powerful statement that you said there, especially it's one of those things of maturing like as an athlete, right? When you're that so much younger, like you're never going to get hurt, everything's fine, you're
Yeah,
on top of the
so
world, and
naive.
then like being able to live with that fear and actually use it as a power, right? I mean, you're just getting smarter and like the tactics and stuff, the way you're able to approach a course differently now is going to give you such a better advantage than just like sending it. We'll see what happens. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I look back on the way I used to ski, and it's like, geez, that was so, just young, naive, and risky, and yeah, you don't think you have any consequences, and
mhm,
it is pretty wild to look back on that. But I'm also like, yeah, now it's cool. Like you have this approach where it's like, yeah, I still need to be sendy at times, but knowing where I can give back, like give a little bit and be smarter, and then where I can push it.
mhm,
Yeah, I think it's a better mindset of you kind of have a better plan going into it all around.
mhm. Now, how like the layouts for some of the different tracks and everything that you go to, do you have, because I mean they change a little bit every year, right? You get a new one like the new one in the US and everything, but that like visualization when you go through, it was kind of funny. We had Mick Branch when I was working with Australia last year. He still works with them and he used to work with the men's US speed team in like the glory days, '05 to '06 in there. And like, so he showed up to like his first mogul World Cup this past last year. We were in Canada and he's like, you guys get like 3 hours of like training before you get to like do your run. And and it's one of those things you don't really think about. And he's like, yeah, no, we just like look at the course. You get like your one practice run, and then you get your one. And like, so it was really, really interesting, like for me to hear that. So like, how do
Yeah.
you have that kind of approach and that visualization? And as you say, like it's changed now clearly for the better for you and those tactics. So what does that kind of look like for you?
Yeah, I think what's unique about our sport is there's so many variables at all times
Mhm.
and different venues, different surfaces. You only get, for Super G, you only get one slip down, you don't even get to run it, and
You
then
just
you
get
have to
one
go as
slip.
hard as yeah, you gotta go as hard as you can, and
Hmm.
you have to ski well, but also send it and be very tactical. So I think that's the hardest event for sure.
Hmm.
And then downhill, it's a little bit better. Just, we get a couple training runs, so we get to actually feel it out. And
Hmm.
with downhill, normally go to a lot of the same tracks, so we have some consistency that we can build each year from.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think it's definitely a veteran's sport within downhill because
Yeah.
it is more experience over time that you get to learn the tracks, and at least then when you go back to the same spots, you have that consistency of you've been there. And I have a notepad that I write down everything after every event so that I have good notes. So when I go back, I can look back on and be like, okay, I remember like certain sections or what it felt like and what went well, what didn't.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think it is unique in that sense for sure.
Yeah. Now, how much does like the testing go in? Because I know you guys have a big like equipment testing period and everything else. Is that like a huge part of the game? I mean, I know like F1, right? They're working on the right tires. You're working on the different like. Do you have different speed suits you go through and test along with different skis and everything else and waxes? I mean, how crazy and techie and nerdy can you go down like the rabbit hole with that?
Yeah, there's another element of so many different variables within our equipment as well. So
Hmm.
in the spring we'll get, new ski models. So all summer, all fall, we're looking at new models. We're also messing with our equipment. So different setups with our tuning, with our bindings, and yeah, our boots. There's a lot to mess with.
Hmm.
I try to minimize that just because I think if you try too many things at once, it gets a little bit overwhelming and then it's
Yeah.
hard to know. So kind of just starting from the ground level, testing one thing at a time, seeing if it fits and what works. But then like certain equipment works better at different conditions as well, like
Mm.
having an icy, bumpy track versus a more dry, grippy, or soft condition. So yeah, I think it's important to know your setups really well and what works for different conditions. But you can definitely get down a rabbit hole of trying too many things and being too fixated on it. So I definitely have like a base setup that I like, and I try not to do too much with it. Maybe just having sharper gummy the edges a little bit at times if I
Sure.
need. But yeah, I mean, I love the sport, but there are also so many variables to the point that it can be overwhelming as well.
Yeah. No, definitely. You could get lost going down a rabbit hole where it's good to be able to kind of separate and be like, you know what, I'm not going to think about racing for a little bit. It's time to unplug and just like hang out with the family.
Yeah.
So you finally are able to kind of get back. You kind of start to overcome and mature, I would say, as a racer, right? And to be able to live with the fear and those tactics. And how much do you think that's helped you in the past couple seasons kind of get you back to, top 15 in the world last year, podium again in Cortina, and like really springboard you towards the next few seasons?
Yeah, I think there's so much that went into uh that last season coming
Hmm.
back after all those years of really struggling. After the Beijing Olympics, I took a whole year off because I had another patella tear the
Hmm.
race after the Olympics. And I was at a kind of a crossroads where the I didn't know if the ski team wanted to keep supporting me as I was getting older. And um, yeah, I had an honest conversation with them. Wanted to know if how they felt, if they would let me take a whole year off to do the surgery I needed. It was going to be a patella tendon full reconstruction, which would take me out for a year and a half.
Hmm.
I was super grateful. They were really supportive and said, "Yeah, take the time you need. We'll be here when you come back." So I was grateful that I had that moment to really go back to the ground level. So I did the full surgery, slowly rehab, did it right, and then that whole next season, I didn't get into gates at all. I just went to Utah and yeah, I skied with a guy named Dane Spencer who used to be a World Cup GS skier and
Hmm.
now has been super instrumental helping athletes that aren't as supported. And so yeah, the ski team put me in touch with him to do my return to ski.
Hmm.
It was only going to be for a week or two, and I had such a good time and feeling working with him that I wanted to do the whole winter. So I stayed in
Awesome.
Utah all winter, skied with him, and for the full first couple months, all we did was just drills and free skiing and really breaking down kind of that fundamental base to build back up. And
Hmm.
he's been through injuries, and so he helped me a lot talking through with fear. He's also really good with equipment, so he helped me, find a good base with my equipment that I think worked better than what I had before. So yeah, I was grateful. I think what helped me be successful returning last year was that I had so much time to really break down my skiing and I think get away from all those bad habits that the fear kind of instilled in my patterns.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that was an absolute incredible opportunity that I got to work with him for so long. And then when I joined the team back in the spring and got ready for the last year, I was in a really good place and way better than I had ever been going into a season before. And
Hmm.
looking back, injuries in the past, it was always rush back to just get back with the team and be back to where I needed to be. And looking back, I wish I would have taken this path
Hmm.
earlier because then I think I wouldn't have struggled with fear as much as I did when I was younger. So, yeah, I think the whole having that year with him put me in a really good position. Then I was able to last year come back in a better place, and I had a lot more confidence in my knee and my skiing.
Yeah.
And I think that is what showed and made the biggest difference.
Hmm. I mean, it's so cool and to be able to get that year away. I mean, had to be great just as you to like re-fall in love with the sport again, right? You're like come back from injury, you're coming back like as you said, you're trying to rush to get back for tour and everything else and to kind of have that full winter to just be like out on the lift, like, oh, this is sweet. I'm gonna work on some turns, I'm gonna feel it out again. Like that had to be really refreshing for you.
Yeah, just not going back and having fear. It was like
Hmm.
being able to just, like you said, go fall in love with the sport again, enjoy skiing for skiing and not just trying to throw yourself down the hill as fast as you can when you're scared. So, yeah, I think it's a really smart approach to coming back from injury. And if, the team supports that, I think it's something that needs to happen because so many athletes come back fearful and um, yeah, being able to go slow and build back up, I think is super crucial. So I was really lucky.
Hmm. Now, kind of speaking, talk about Dane a little bit and your brother and like, so who are some of those other inspirations for you, like in the sport or just in outside the sport that you've kind of really leaned on and have helped you throughout your career so far?
Yeah, I'd say, I mean, first and foremost, my parents, they've always supported me through every step of the way, especially all the challenging times. Chasing my brother around, he was a big inspiration when I was a kid as well. And then also just all the girls when I was growing up on the team. One of my first years, I wasn't funded, and Lindsey Vaughn saw that, and she really took me under her wings and made me an ambassador to her foundation. So she helped fund, the first couple years of my career and was a huge inspiration and mentor for me. She really took me under her wing and would help me at venues. So I was really, really lucky that I was on the team at the beginning when all those girls were there because I think were really instrumental in developing my career and foundation being on the
Mhm.
World Cup. And yeah, I would say I just was really lucky to have that group around me.
That's awesome. How special is it now that I mean, she's making her return back, right? You were just training with her in
Yeah.
Copper. I mean, what's that like?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we just found out about it, a couple months ago, and at first we were like, is that for real? And actually having her at Copper now, it's really cool. Like it is a weird turn where it feels like nothing's changed. Yeah, she was gone for 5 years, and now having her back, it's a fun full circle moment, and she's skiing incredibly well. She's been super supportive, already a teammate coming back in and wanting to gel with our group well. So yeah, I think it's incredible for the younger girls too, because a lot of them looked up to her when they were little. So now
Mhm.
getting to be her teammate, I think is really special. And we have a young girl, Allison Mullen, who's 20 years old, and Lindsay's 40. So it's pretty wild to think that we have a 20-year age gap on our team. But yeah, it's been nothing but great, and she's skiing really well and it isn't in any pain. So it's really cool to see.
That's awesome. That's super cool. So, looking forward to this season, like getting that time off, being nice and refreshed, and I guess a little bit like about a little bit to like last year and having those results. And it had to be really rewarding and full circle of like, okay, you made the right decision and having that new love for the sport or that freshness kind of back in again to go out and perform like you did last season.
Yeah, I think it was huge for myself because as the years went on after having success in 2017 and 18, there was always moments where I'd come back starting to ski faster again, but then after having another injury and a setback, it kind of just kept feeling like that success was getting further and further and away from me.
Yeah.
So past year, it was a huge moment for myself, just proving that all of the resilience and determination to get back was worth it because yeah, as the time went on, it was like, am I going to be able to be back ever again? I'm getting older, and the success felt like it was getting further and further away, and the only thing people would talk about was my injuries and whatnot. So yeah, it was a very special feeling last season being like, okay, I can do it again. It's all paid off, and the moment where I was on the podium in Cortina is pretty wild. My dad decided last moment to come. So having him at that venue with all of the history that I've had there and what he's seen that I've gone through the lows was absolutely incredible. And having that moment with him there meant the world to me.
It's so cool. You're giving me goosebumps. That's so cool. That's so special. That's awesome. I mean, you know all the work and everything that you're able to put in and the people that really care and are supportive on those dark days, you know. I mean, I know at least on my own level, like how we met through one of those rehab years and the crew and, you know, helping
Oh, yeah.
support my wife and having that like really be able to see the career kind of continue and blossom and because those rehabs totally suck and they can sap you of so much, right? And then
Yeah.
but to continue to work hard and have that drive to get you back and not only back to that same level but back to better and more consistent and more aware of what's going on in the sport and everything else. I mean,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Yeah, no, if yeah, you know it exactly, like seeing what Tall went through and what she did coming back from injuries, that same feeling of like, wow, that was so cool. And you know more than anyone, like sharing that, you were there for all the low moments and seeing her get to where she, was on the podium at World Champs. Like that was absolutely insane. And yeah, for me being a rehab buddy of hers, like that was so cool to see. It was like, okay, like yeah, she did it. She had it in her, but to do it and to be able to share it with the people that supported you the most, it was really cool to see. So yeah, that same feeling, that's what makes it and means the most, is sharing it with those people that have truly been there to support you.
Oh, absolutely. So I mean, you talked a little bit on kind of some different approaches and everything that you've had in kind of building back. Do you have any other pieces of advice for some of those athletes out there, whether they're navigating injury or just in general that you feel like have really helped you?
Yeah, I think that's huge. The most important thing is believing in yourself
Mhm.
more than anything. Like the amount of times that I heard I wouldn't make it because I technically wasn't good enough. If I had listened to any one of those, I would not be where I was today. And I think believing in yourself and just working your ass off as hard as you can and not letting anybody tell you you can't make it, I think is huge. And yeah, I think being able to do all the little things, staying consistent with the little things when you can't see the difference right away is super huge. Like you have to be consistent and know that like the little things are what are going to matter. So yeah, I think just having the determination, resilience, getting in the gym, working as hard as you can, believing in yourself
Mhm.
is absolutely key. And one big thing that really helped me too, I've realized as I've gotten older, is how important it is to watch video on my own and really study the sport
Mhm.
because I think, coaches have their role, but I think you have to take the ownership as an athlete and be willing to understand what you're doing well and how to be a good student of the sport because at the end of the day, you are in charge of your own career. So really fine-tuning the little things and being able to be your own coach in a sense as well.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I think that's huge piece of advice for sure. I mean, being able to look at the film and I'm sure you've learned a ton just over the last year, let alone like 13 years on the team and as long as you've been doing it. Now, one thing we touched on a little bit earlier, I'm just kind of curious, you said you've always kind of had that determination, whether it's following your brother or ever down the slopes, like where does that kind of competitiveness and determination come from? Was your brother mean to you?
Yeah, really. I had to get back to him. No. Yeah, I don't know. I think I've always had this drive of an obsession of wanting to just get better every day to the point where sometimes it's annoying. I'm like, can I just be content or just happy? But I think in sport, like if you want to be successful, you kind of have to have that obsessive drive to want to get better constantly. And
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's something that you just have to feel within where you wake up and you're like, what can I do today to get better? And kind of that need to just always be working at your craft. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's just something that I've really was instilled when I was younger when I was told no, you aren't gonna make it. And I think it kind of just changed who I was a little bit in wanting to prove people wrong and then prove to myself.
Mhm.
And then from that moment, it's like now I can't be satisfied. I'm always just trying to get better every day, and I think that is what has led me to where I am today, and I think has been a huge factor.
Yeah, great. Now, favorite course. Is it
Cortina,
Cortina?
Italy.
Okay. All right. I just figured I'd check, like
Of course.
probably maybe Birds of Prey after this year, but Cortina, right? Is that the first downhill on that, right? Because you said they did the Super G.
Yeah, it's the first downhill on the Birds of Prey. I mean, we had the Raptor, which was a different trail that led
Mhm.
to the finish, but in terms of the on Birds of Prey, yeah, we have never had a downhill. So yeah, I'll let you know after this year how I feel about it.
And is Sun Valley getting a World Cup this year?
Yeah, we have finals at Sun Valley, so that'll be really crazy too. I think that's even more an unknown. They fully built a new trail. So at least for Birds of Prey, we can watch the men go and have an idea. But yeah, Sun
Mhm.
Valley will have no idea ahead of time. But it's an incredible ski town, as you know,
Yeah,
for
Sun
being in
Valley's
America.
awesome.
That Yeah, the history, the everything there is really cool. So yeah, that'll be really fun.
And looking forward to World Champs this year in Austria.
Yeah. Saalbach is a great place. We had finals there last year. It's a really fun track. We've been able to train multiple times. So, yeah, I actually really enjoyed the track, and that'll be a really fun event this year. Anytime you get a race in Austria and compete against the Austrians it
Yeah.
is pretty special. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. This has been awesome. I know you're busy, but I really appreciate it. Look forward to cheering you on the rest of the season. We'll be watching and cheering. But yeah, thank you so much, Jackie. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Bobby. It's yeah, fun to be on here and chat with you, and good luck to Tall this weekend. We'll be rooting her on and really excited to watch her crush this season.
All right. Thanks. Bye,
Yeah.
everybody.